We'll be facing Jesse Whitehead and the Wisconsin Badgers, who are not the best team all around, but are still a pretty good team. So we need to make sure that we don't slack off on defense. I cannot speak. They don't have like the best team. Like, they're not that good. They don't have the best starting lineup. I mean, they have a decent one, but they don't have the best bench, but nor do we. So we're kind of in similar spots, having like one star and maybe one or two decent players. So we're in like exact same spots, except we are two separate teams. Even our colors are similar, because we both have red. I'd be guarding Jamel Artis, and Jesse Whitehead will be guarded by Gibson. We'd end up losing the tip, as they'd immediately give the ball to Whitehead. Their center sent a pointless screen until the guy who was supposed to run and get the screen wasn't there, as Maggette takes the shot. And his release is very interesting, but he's able to hit the shot. I set the screen for Wallace and go out towards the three-point line. Maggette would bring up the ball for Wisconsin. I was there to contest, but Colton Alexandrov was there to get the rebound and put it back in. I set the screen for Wallace and get wide open in the paint. Wisconsin would try to set a few screens. It seems like they've had a tendency to set a lot of screens, as Artis takes the three off the screen, but that ends up missing. Shepard ends up finding his way inside, and that would be my first assist of the game, and the first point scored not from me. I tried to get the block on Jamel Artis, but he ends up getting the standing dunk instead. Hardaway sets the screen for Gibson, who tries to get open. I almost take a shot from almost the range of the logo, but I end up passing it to Hardaway at the last second, who misses the fadeaway mid-range. I'm there to contest for Hayes, and I get stuck in the paint a little bit. I'm surprised I didn't get called for the 3-second. I was there to contest Artis, but he gets it in anyways. I call for the ball and start posting up because I have the mismatch. And of course, with that mismatch, I'm not gonna fail on scoring, as I have just 2 points less than the Badgers. Whitehead would get the screen and take the shot over Hardaway. I'd end up getting the ball off the pass from Hardaway. I give it to Gibson all the way across the court, but he doesn't take the shot. I give it into Wallace, who gets open after I had set the screen for him a little bit earlier in the possession. calling a timeout as the score is 11-9 with about 6 minutes left. Purdue has been the top of the power rankings, Northwestern being third. Actually, they were second from what I've heard. I drive by Artis and get the contested layup to go. I've shot perfect from the field so far. As I try to put up a shot from on the ground and miss as it gets blocked by the bottom of the back. They're unable to get any pass inside and decide to give it to Whitehead with 5 seconds left on the shot clock. He gets the screen from Colton and takes the three. Of course he would hit the shot as he's been the leader of this Wisconsin team. I'm able to drive in and draw the first foul of the game on Nigel Hayes. This would be the first free throws of the game and I would hit both of them. Whitehead would bring up the ball for the first time in this game. Seems like a lot of his possessions he gets screens from his teammates. They end up getting called for the offensive 3-second violation as Alexandrov was in the paint too long. I had to inbound the ball to Tyrone Wallace. Gibson would end up trying to isolate on Whitehead, but he'd pass it away. I drive in for the contested layup over 2 defenders, and somehow I was able to get it to go. Maggette would get the ball, and I'd try to pick it off, but I was able to stop him, but he ended up corralling the ball and giving in to Artis. I ended up getting left open for 3, and this time I'd make it. I cannot speak, and but I was able to make this 3, and that's the first time I've gone 2 for 2, let alone make my first 2 3-point shots. I end up helping with double teaming Whitehead, and I give it to Wallace, who takes the floater. And this season, from what I looked at it, it's a 20-game schedule, as we play like about 4 teams 2 times. I end up getting subbed out, and when I come back in, it's a 3-point lead. I give it to Hardaway, who takes the deep mid-range, but he's not really known for hitting those, as I try to steal the ball from Maggette, but he ends up getting the lob up to Hayes. He decides to just lay it up, as our bench point guard Chioza would bring up the ball. I get inside, but it would be heavily contested by my defender, and I try to reach in, but it would be my first foul of the game. I end up jumping 2 times on the pump fakes, but he doesn't end up taking the shot, and I end up trying to follow him, and he's able to get open. I try to spin around him, but I'm unable to. I end up getting the ball stolen from me by Jamel Artis, and Whitehead would be there on the fast break to get fouled by Wallace. During the season, he's averaging quite a large amount of points, averaging 33 points and about 7 assists. So that's why we really have to be careful with him, because he can really take over a game, especially him, because there's not much around him, so he's like the only one who's really there. As Jamel Artis can be there sometimes, but he's not always a guarantee to give you a bunch of points when you need it. I end up trying to get the steal, and I'm able to get it. I'm on the fast break, and I take the dunk. I decided just to go with the two hands, as there were defenders behind me, and if I went for a flashy one, it would have easily been blocked. As we get another steal on Whitehead, I take another three, and I'm 3 for 3 at the 3-point line. I end up leaving Hayes open, and he ends up hitting it, which was surprising to me. We let Chiozza handle the balls. He drives in and finds Hardaway for the easy layup inside. Wisconsin ends up calling a timeout, as we have a 3-point lead, just like when I had came into the game earlier. I'm able to block Hayes, but they end up getting the ball back. I was there on the switch, as I'm used to guarding Artis, but he ends up getting the floater to go. I set the screen for Chiozza, and I able to get the mismatch. So I decided to go in the post, and I spin around and get the layup inside. It probably would have missed, but they end up calling goaltending on Colton Alexandrov, their center in the game. That would give us a 4-point lead, as I was able to hit the free throw. I'm there to double team Whitehead, but of course the double team would leave open the person I was defending. I spin around Hayes, but I missed the shot. But I was able to get the offensive rebound, but we failed to get the board. On the other end, Hayes ends up getting the and one, as the foul would be called on Tyrone Wallace. He would end up hitting the free throw, giving them the lead, which is their first in quite a bit. I try to float it over Hayes, but once again, it's a failed attempt, as I try to reach in, but puts us in the bonus, and that'd be my second foul. Maggette would hit the first one and hit the second as well. Hardaway ended up getting the ball in the corner, and with 5 seconds left, I give it to Chioza, who takes the contested three and somehow was able to hit the shot. I'd end up trying to block Hayes, but that would be my third foul. Hayes would end up hitting both of them, giving them a 2-point lead. I gave it into Hardaway, who ends up missing it, gets his own board, and puts it back in. Whitehead this time would bring up the ball, and I'd double team and then get back to my person that was supposed to defend, but he still ends up hitting the mid-range anyways, even with my hand in his face. I'm ended up being way bigger as I got the mismatch on Maggette, and I just decided to post up as he's way smaller. And also not as strong. Whitehead would have the ball as Alexandrov would set the screen, and he'd lob it up to Hayes, who hits the layup off the alley-oop. I take the shot over Hayes, but that misses. I reach in, and that's my fourth of the half, and I'd probably get subbed out. I end up getting subbed out for the rest of the half, and we'd be down by 9. Hopefully we can bring this game back, but who knows? They've just been outplaying us. Hayes has had a pretty good game as he has 20 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists. A lot of them have been when I was playing because I just end up falling behind and he'd get open inside. They've been shooting way better than us and got more rebounds and assists, but the defensive stats go to us as we're more of a defensive kind of team. At least we're good at getting those defensive stats. But sometimes that offense doesn't come as well. As Hardaway's more of a defensive player and Shepherd as well. We have more of like players at the big man position that are more inside instead of players that can shoot. As I get subbed in with like about 8.5 minutes left. We're down by 13. Whitehead almost loses the ball once again, but he's able to get it back. Maggette would end up missing the shot, and I'd be on the fast break. I took the 3, but I ended up missing it this time. That was my first miss of the game, and I get the block on Artis. I bring it up the other way and find Hardaway, who gets the and one opportunity as Hayes commits his second foul of the game. Hardaway would not hit the free throws. He's not known to really be good at hitting free throws. Hayes would take the mid-range, but it was contested by Shepherd pretty well. I'd drive in and draw the foul on Artis, but that would only be his first of the game. That would give me 2 shots at the free throw line. So far I've been perfect, 4 for 4. And it would stay perfect as I hit the second one, making me 5 for 5 at the free throw line, giving me 28 points. I end up trying to get the steal on Whitehead as he's turned over the ball quite a bit as he turns it over once again. I find Wallace inside, who takes the contested shot over Maggette and hits it. Whitehead's not had the best game so far as he's turned over the ball quite a bit. He gets another screen from Colton Alexandrov, as that seems to be a common thing for him. Tends to get the screen from him quite a bit. Whitehead tends to play off the screens from what I've been seeing throughout this game, as Hayes is able to get another to go, as he is 22 for the game. Ends up being out of bounds on Hayes, and Alexandrov would be subbed out for their other center off the bench. I get the ball, and first thing I do is go inside and get the basket. I watched the pass to the center as I was able to block the passing lane. Artist tries to drive and take a mid-range, but I'm there to contest as he misses it. I take the shot inside and get fouled by Whitehead, but it was only his first, so it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that costly for him. I'd end up missing my first free throw, as I'd make it 75-69, a 6-point lead for Wisconsin. Nwamu would bring up the ball for Wisconsin. Alabaster would be their center. The only people from the starting lineup who are still in the game are Whitehead and Artist. They're two probably best players, except for maybe Nigel Hayes. I believe he's also in the game. The team is pretty much led by their like 3 top players, and that's pretty much all they have, which is kind of similar to ours, except it's not much besides me and like Tyrone Wallace, depending. So we don't have any like consistent scorer other than me. It's like Wallace can be on and off. Chios is off the bench, but he's not the best. Whitehead gets the matchup against Lonnie Hardaway and tries to take it over him, but that misses. I'm there on the fast break and find Wallace inside. Hayes tried to block it, but Wallace was able to get it in. This time Artist would bring up the ball, which would be the first of the game, at least from what I know. I've never really seen him bring up the ball, and doesn't seem to be doing much as he's just dribbling, and Alabaster's trying to get by Hardaway. Artist ends up getting left open for 3, but that shot misses, and that's another missed shot. I take the open 3, but the 3 towards after those first 2 makes has not gone too well. Me and Wallace are there to defend, and I'm out on the fast break. I take the acrobatic layup and hit it, bringing down to the 3-point game. Wisconsin will call a timeout as they've blown a 13-point lead. They'd end up bringing someone else in at their center, and I'd be guarding whoever was playing at power forward. At least that's what I believe. But then I realized that it was Nwamu, their small forward, off the bench. Whitehead would drive in and find Nwamu outside. I drive in on Ware, but I was unable to get it, as they're able to find Hayes open for 3, but he'd be unable to make it, as the only 3 he's made in this game was that first one. I drive in and get the foul on Hayes, as our next 2 games would be against Maryland and Illinois. Rathon Mays would be handling the ball for Wisconsin, as we'll see what happens. They set the screen and find Hamilton wide open, but that's another miss for Wisconsin. I take the contested shot, but it wasn't the best. Wallace was there for the putback, and we were on a 19-5 run, giving us the lead in this game finally. It ended up giving it into Ware, who would hit the shot, even though Hardaway was there, but the contest was a little bit late. I give it into Hardaway, who'd give it out to Pullen. I took the mid-range shot, but it wasn't the best choice, as Caballero would be there for the rebound. Thought Mays would try to get by Pullen, and he would, but the shot ended up missing. He got the rebound and found Hamilton in the corner. Another miss for Wisconsin, though. I give it to Watanbe and go out towards the three-point line. Pullen would take the shot, but it hasn't been a good stretch for either team, as it's been a little bit of a drought. I'd be there to defend Caballero. I never knew if the L's were silent, but I didn't pay attention to that at the time. I give it into Hardaway, who would go on Ware and take the shot over him. Rathon Mays once again would be the handler, as Caballero would try to post up. He'd take the fadeaway and miss the shot. I'd give it to Watanbe, who was inside, and he'd get fouled. He would take 2 at the free throw line, and I decided to try and rest a little bit as I get subbed out. The game had delayed for some reason, which I didn't really know, but I'd be subbed in and we have a 6-point lead. I get the mismatch with having their center Ware on me, but I haven't been shooting that well. We did a lot of passing, and Shepard would take the contested shot and miss. I'd be guarding Ware, as they'd have their two of their centers out at the same time. But I would be guarding Ware, who's the one off the bench. They'd hit the shot with 0.6 seconds on the clock. We'd have a 3-point lead going into the final quarter, which is not a big lead, and considering our team, who knows if we can keep it. We had taken one loss to Northwestern so far, and so far Wisconsin seems to be outplaying us a little bit. We seem to be being outplayed, but when I came in, I tried to bring this team back. The double team ends up working as we get the jump ball. It would be James Young versus against Caballero. It'd basically be at half court, so it was pretty much like a starting of the game, but just towards the middle of it. They'd end up winning it just like the beginning of the game. Hamilton would be left open for three, and that would tie the game. Hamilton is known to hit the three, so that could be a problem as now it's tied. And with our team, who knows if we can even stay close in this game. I gave it into Shepard, and he's able to hit it as Alexandrov wasn't paying attention. Hamilton would take the three and once again hit it. We just keep leaving him open in the corner, which is a big problem. I end up hitting the shot and give us a 1-point lead as I dribbled by Ware. I end up leaving Ware open, but I'm able to get back to block him. I try to save the ball, but ends up going out of bounds. Now, Nuwabu would be in the game, and I would be guarding their small forward from what I believe, but I could be power forward for all I know. As Hamilton once again is able to get the shot to go. We end up turning the ball over, and this has been a good stretch for Wisconsin. Nuwabu is able to get the shot inside and give them a 3-point lead. I'd end up posting up on Hamilton, and just like all the other people I've posted up on, except for Ware, they're not as strong as me. Or as big as me. I'm able to block the alley-oop as I wasn't able to block the pass, but I was able to block the shot. Ends up going out of bounds, so it ends up being Wisconsin ball. Seems to be how it's been going, how we'd almost get a turnover, but they end up recovering the ball, which has been pretty much how our every defensive possession has pretty much been. They end up missing the shot, and this time we'd get the rebound. Young would take the shot inside as I was ready for the rebound if needed. It's been a back and forth game so far, and we'll see how it goes. I don't know why, but this year, like, they just decided to change it, that it would be 10-minute quarters to kind of get ready for the NBA. I'm not sure why, but they decided to do that. I mean, I guess it gets you ready for the NBA because it makes you learn how to endure an NBA game, how much you're going to have to go through. I have to get out of the paint because I thought I was going to get an offensive 3-second call. I tried to get it to Shepard and almost turn it over. Poland's forced to take the contested three, but somehow he hits the shot. I'd be guarding Nigel Hayes, and they end up missing the shot, but rebounding tends to be a problem for us in clutch moments, and Alexandrov shows it as he's pumped up after the play as he brings it down to 1 with the standing dunk. I'd give it to Hardaway, who would find Gibson. I'd give it over to Shepherd, but he doesn't really do much with the ball. I spin around and take the shot inside, giving us a 3-point lead. I try to steal the ball from Whitehead, but I'm unable to, and I'm forced to get back to who I'm defending. I'd be guarding Artis, who's their starter. I give it to Shepherd, who takes the shot and hits it, giving me a double-double for the game. Now we have a 5-point lead, which is a little bit more comfortable, but who knows with our team. But Shepherd's able to get the block on Whitehead. I give it to Poland, who's open, but he doesn't take the mid-range. But Gibson does end up taking the mid-range off the screen. And that would be his first points of the game, and only took 2 shots in this whole game. Whitehead would try to work on Shepherd, but he'd go back out to the 3-point line and give it to Artis. Hayes tries to fade away on Gibson, but Gibson plays some good defense and hits the mid-range shot on the other end. Now we have a 9-point lead, and that's pretty good to go into the last 5 minutes of the game, as Whitehead has the flashy pass to Alexandrov behind the back, and pretty good move. I drive in and get the contested shot to go, as I've scored way more than my defender. I go to double team Whitehead, as he's had a history of turning it over in this game, and I end up fouling Artis, and that'd be my 5th foul of the game. Seems like they've been doing a lot to try and get everyone prepared for the NBA, as I missed the shot and Hardaway's able to get the rebound. It's like they've done a lot, like 6 fouls like the NBA, 10-minute quarters for 4 quarters. Whitehead trying to get by his defender, and the screen ends up leaving him open, and he takes the layup. I give it all the way up to Shepherd, and it's an easy layup as there's no one there. But it wasn't a layup, as I just said, which I don't know why I thought it was a layup for a second. But that was with Whitehead when he could have dunked it, but Shepherd dunked it this time, but who knows. Then again, he was wide open, so it would make sense. I've been having a pretty good game, and they'd given me player of the game for the game so far, but who knows if we blow the lead or anything happens. Maggette trying to get something. He tries to do the lob pass, but it fails. Gibson gets the layup on the other end, giving us a 10-point lead this time. And at this point, it seems like the game's almost over. Maggette would have the ball, and I'd end up leaving Artis open. I give it into Shepherd, and he'd get the and one. Once again, they decided to pause the game, but they'd start it back up, and Shepherd would hit the free throw. I'd be there to guard Artis off the screen. They set another one for him. I give it into Gibson, who finds Hardaway, and he gets the easy layup inside. Whitehead would bring up the ball, and Gibson would end up having to guard Colton Alexandrov, the center. Alexandrov would set another screen, this time for Maggette. Maggette would be forced to take the bad shot, but somehow he hit it, which I still never understood how he... It was like contested, and his shot release is so weird. Wallace would be left open, and he'd hit the shot, as that's kind of a dagger, and that pretty much ends this game. Pretty much signals that we pretty much won this game. Another flashy pass, this time from Maggette to, once again, Alexandrov. They ended up trying to pass it up to Shepherd, and Hayes would get the steal. Give it to Artis inside, who finds Maggette. He'd pass it out once again to Artis. And with 59.7 seconds left, I don't think they were really going to come back in this game. I decided to hold the ball and see what happens. I give it to Hardaway in the post, who gives it to Shepherd, the big man on the other side. And he's able to score. Whitehead would be able to get the shot inside, bringing it down to 10. At this point, the game was really over, and Shepherd would get 2 at the line, and he'd hit the first one. I get subbed out for the rest of the game, as we'd be in Wisconsin by 10 points. They're pretty evenly matched opponents, so it's a pretty good game. Good performances on both sides. Hayes had 22 points in the game, 6 rebounds and 2 assists. Hamilton hit quite a few threes, 19 points. Artis got 18. Whitehead had 15 points, but had 9 assists. Maggette had 8 and 11. Zandroff had 8. Ware had 8. Caballero had 7. Alabaster had 6. Nwamu had 5. Radden Mays didn't score anything, and few people didn't play. I had 45 points, 4 rebounds, 14 assists, 2 steals, and 4 blocks, and only had 1 turnover, so a pretty good game. I did have 5 fouls, though, so that is one thing. Shepherd had 18, 8, and 2 assists. Hardaway had 18 and 14 with a double-double. Wallace had 13, Pullen had 11, Gibson 6, Young 5, Watanbe 5, Joseph 3, Grantham 2, and that's pretty much how it went down. So, next game we'd be playing Maryland, who we'd be facing Evan Hardaway once again.